Join us on Geek Blood, the show you can't ignore. Ray and Kevin diving deep into all things galore. Comic book, movie, sci-fi, and action thrill. Reviewing new TV shows, we keep it real, real. Reminiscing the attitude era, wrestling at its peak. Nostalgia from the 80s and 90s, memories we seek. Pineapples for our rings, a unique touch. Geek culture in our blood, we love it so much. Geek Blood forever, we love it so much. Geek Blood, where we talk about it all. From superheroes to wrestlers, we stand tall. Ray and Kevin, the dynamic duo in sight. Geek Blood, shining bright, shining bright. Did you hear about Pluto? That's messed up, right? Geek Blood, taking you on a nostalgia flight. From movies to TV, we cover it all. Join us every week, we'll have a ball. Shuffle.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much, man. How are you doing?
Doing good. Gonna open up the show with some breaking news from yesterday. I'm gonna get your opinion on this stuff that I have no idea about. With an impromptu Teach Ray Sports. This is the theme to Teach Ray Sports. We needed a theme for Teach Ray Sports. I couldn't think of anything that would be original. I stole this instrumental from the Gary Shanley Show. This is the theme to Teach Ray Sports. This is the theme to Teach Ray Sports.
Now
we are back in a mob society.
Yes, we are. Before we get into this story, I was going to actually ask you before I check the notes to do an impromptu Teach Ray Sports. Because I think today on the radio, they had my favorite segment of all time that I just heard. So Ed Gein was popular because of that documentary on Netflix. Mm-hmm. And I've told you about how much of a psychopath Joe Mazzulla is, right?
Yes.
I've sent you clips, Celtics head coach. So at the end of every caller's call, they would say a quote, and you had to guess if it was from Ed Gein or Joe Mazzulla. One of the quotes attributed to Joe Mazzulla was, "After dinner, you're going to be abducted," he said at a press conference.
Wow.
He had some other pretty wild ones attributed to him. Like the Ed Gein was like, I think like 6 of them went to Mazzulla and like 2 to Ed Gein. And every time somebody would be like Ed Gein, they'd be like, "Nope, Mazzulla." I thought that was funny, so I was going to bring that up before we get into this whole scandal of it all.
Your mic is very, very modulated. I don't know what's going on.
Huh,
yeah, you're talking like a echo chambers mixed with electronics.
Well, I told you we got internet issues over here, so might have to try to bear with me here. But start talking. I'll see if I can fix it.
So yesterday, news broke that the Department of Justice and the head of the FBI, Patel, had this huge sting operation with the NBA and betting. And it went a lot deeper than that eventually. They had a press conference later in the day where they started naming people that they arrested that were actually players in the NBA. I don't know if you know any of the players, any of the people that were involved. I know the other big part of this is that the 5 families that they talk about in all the movies were a part of this.
Yep.
And they're the ones who actually went in and put the pressure on these NBA players to rig games, to shave points off of scores and not play correctly, so another team may win. this is like old school mob shit that we've seen in the movies our whole life growing up, but still happening in America. And they arrest some members of the Five families. They arrested. Who are some of these players that you know of? I know one of them in the article here is Terry Rozier. I don't know who that is from Miami.
Can you hear me now? Is it a little bit better?
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, not as modulated.
So I believe one of the ones. Here, I'll turn down a little bit more. Is that okay? One of the ones is Chauncey Billups.
Yes.
First round draft pick of the Celtics, and then traded away halfway through his rookie season. I believe that was him.
Yeah, Chauncey is the one name I remembered.
And I think Terry Rozier was. This is what hurts. The game that they point to was Game 7, Eastern Conference Finals, Celtics, Cleveland, 2018. That he was dominant the entire series and then shit the bed the final when all this money went towards him on the final game.
Wow.
So that, as a Celtics fan, hurts a lot. After that, I kind of stopped paying attention because I was kind of pissed off. They were talking about it briefly on the radio. They mentioned they were using the same scam from season 1, episode 5 of Psych Poker. I don't even know what is the name of the episode. Great episode. But they were using the glasses with the cards had like a tact on the back.
Yes,
so
I saw that.
Yep.
I heard about that. Yep, I heard about that too.
Yep.
Yeah, they use a lot of technology. That's what I heard, to spy on things in these card games.
Something about
other thing I heard
cameras in the drawer of the dealer or something like that too. I don't know.
They had private games in one of the Jenner kids' condos when she wasn't there. One time when she wasn't there, it was like one of the part-time condos somewhere, and the mobsters were running games out of there. I guess without her knowledge, I don't know, but crazy story. I'm sure this is fresh and brand new. I'm sure we'll hear more about it in the coming weeks, but crazy. And the other big thing about it, which I always have to bring up, LeBron. LeBron is a part of this too, because I guess one of his injury reports was reported to the mobsters, and they took bets with that knowledge before the world knew about it.
I saw that too.
So crazy story. Something you definitely hear about in the movies. This will probably be made into a movie 10 years from now. Martin Scorsese's final film, I'm sure, because he's 80 something. We'll talk about that later. But crazy story. Number one, no, not what we watched this week. We just hit an anniversary last weekend, and I meant to talk about it this month, and we actually hit 2 anniversaries this year. Back to the Future, we're gonna get into that eventually. There's a lot there because that is one of our favorite movies franchises.
Yeah, for sure.
I just watched all 3 for the first time in a long time, back to back last night, which I hadn't done in a while. Because we were talking about Robert Zemeckis off pod and how his animated films, because there's some news about one of his animated films, and we're talking about how shitty they were.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, I got to get that taste out of my mouth of the bad Robert Zemeckis films. So I went back and watched Back to the Future, which are by far my favorite trilogy. And
I mean, those 3 films take less than one Lord of the Ring movie to watch. So
they pretty much do. Yeah, I did it all in 5.5 hours. So
or whatever. Yeah.
But the one thing we're going to talk about, it's actually a 2-parter because Kevin has a surprise review, more of a first impressions. But 40 years ago this week, on the 18th of October in 1985, a little system came out that changed both of our lives for the better, and pretty much our whole entire life has been based off of this one system. The Nintendo Entertainment System, the action set. As you can see right there, that was huge for us. The Nintendo, the Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt cartridge. I had also the Ninja Turtles one. I don't remember which one I got with the set. I know the Ninja Turtles arcade came with a set, and that may have been the one I had. But I also had Mario and Duck Hunt too, so I don't know. I think they had a set that had both those. I can't remember. But came with the controllers. Also came with the light gun, which was for Duck Hunt.
That was fucking crazy technology back then.
Right. That changed our lives. Like that, having that console, having that power in our house. Generation before us had what? Atari. Did not hit the level of what this did as far as the lexicon of America and everything else. And everybody knows the story. System sold for $180 in 1985, equivalent to about $542 in 2025 if you consider inflation, which is right about where video game consoles are right now, about 5-6. If you go higher on the higher end of the pros, they're about 700. But huge for us. I know. For me, Nintendo was all Mario. I wasn't into Zelda until the 64. Nintendo was all Mario.
Yep.
I didn't have too many games growing up because I didn't have a lot of money, but I did have Mario. And I played a lot of Ninja Turtles, and I played a lot of Mario. I went over to a cousin's house, played a ton of games over there too. I remember Friday the 13th. I remember Mario 3. I mean, that's basically where I got my start.
It was the generation of trading games too with friends. Like, Mario 2 and the other person might have Mario 3 and you beat Mario 2 and whatever, and you just trade them off or whatever. Because half my collection, I feel like when I was looking back on it a few years ago, I didn't buy half those games that like people had like their names written on them. Like we just traded them like they were tapes back in the day. So great system. Sure. I think we got ours, I want to say Christmas of 88 or 89.
Probably around there for me too.
It was my sister's console. So a lot of the games were hers. I remember I used to have to, when Mario 3 came out, I used to have to go into her room and play it because it was on her TV in her room. And she'd be like doing homework, listening to the fucking New Kids on the Block or something. I'd be playing Mario 3. So every time I play Mario 3 now, I think of New Kids on the Block. But yeah, great system. My cousin got one. She got different games. One of my favorite games that came out, because we grew up in Maine. So it's tough to get to the Magic Kingdom. Did you ever play the Disney Magic Kingdom game where you basically went on to different rides, but it was like games. So like you had to like, avoid enemies, shit like that. And you could walk around the park and like they had Space Mountain and all that shit. That was a fun game. And another one from my childhood I remember is going to my cousin's and we used to play a side scroller called Bugs Bunny's Birthday Bash, I believe. Yeah. Did you ever play that? Yeah. That game was
seen the videos of it.
Fun. Yeah, that game was fun. Yeah, I'm sure. I think Angry Video Game Nerd is talking about it more. That game is a lot of fun. But yeah, just second system we owned. We did have the Atari 5200. I think we had a ColecoVision that I never actually played though. But this was like the first introduction for me. The Atari hadn't been hooked up yet. And it wasn't until about a year after we got this where my dad mentioned we had a fucking Atari or something like that in the attic. So I made him get it, and I actually had that hooked up for many years next to my Nintendo.
Nice. I had my first system late 80s. Like I said, the Ninja Turtle game, Mario Brothers. Those are the two I remember the most.
Yep.
Before that, my dad had another family, a little older than I was. So I had sisters that had the Nintendo set way before I did. And they had Mario 2. That's the first Mario game I remember playing.
Okay.
They also had Elevator Action, which is a huge arcade game. Came out around same time, maybe early 80s. They also had a cartridge for the NES. I remember that game too. Actually, about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, when I moved over here, I went to a video game store over here and found one and bought it. I don't know how much they are now, but paid like $10 for it at the time. But those are the two. That's like the two core memories I have of Nintendo. And of course, the light gun, playing Duck Hunt, and just all those familiar sounds that you hear now, like brings you right back to where you were back then. But 40 years later, I mean, you have Super Nintendo and 64 to the Wii, to the GameCube before that, to the Wii U, didn't really hit too well. To the Switch, you can go all through all the handhelds we had, the Game Gears, the Game Boys, the DS, everything Nintendo. And then we had the Switch. And then we had the Switch OLED. And then this year, we had the Switch 2, which Kevin just got 2 days ago. And he's had some time to play. I don't know what games. I know you got Mario Kart because it came with the bundle.
Well, here's the thing, Raymond. I ordered that on Amazon, right? As you know. Because it said it'll be delivered the next day. Well, it was like 3:00 and the fucking thing hadn't shipped yet. So I canceled that order and I went to Best Buy because I checked on their website and they had one copy with the Mario Kart bundle. So I got that. And then this is just as far as you were just talking about the games I've bought. Last night I checked my account and I had been refunded the money from the one from Amazon. So I bought a bunch of games on Switch too, including the new Donkey Kong, which I haven't really got into it. They have a Kirby game coming out next month that I pre-ordered, and a Mortal Kombat game I pre-ordered, which is like it's like the
all of them,
the old school. No, it's just the old school one. So it's like the first 3, I think, all like arcade versions.
No, that's like 10. That's like 10 games. That's the arcade, the NES. Yeah, that's a whole like collection of Mortal Kombat.
I saw it was like $20, so I was like, fuck it. Play on handheld. And I bought a Hitman Blood Money Revisited, which is an upgraded version of Hitman Blood Money, which was my first Hitman game, and I love that series. And that was cheap too. So when I got it, it comes with the Mario Kart bundle. And my first thought was the first Switch, I think, only had 32 gigabytes of memory, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you were to download literally any game, you would have to buy an SD card, and those are expensive, whatever. Well, the new Switch, the SD card doesn't fit from the old Switch. They have the new updated SD cards. So I was like, fuck, did I just lose like 5 games? The Switch 2 has, I think, over 200 gigabytes of internal memory. So when you transfer everything from your Switch 1 to your Switch 2, it takes those games and downloads them to your Switch 2, which is a nice touch because Nintendo's always been the company where, like, I guess now it's all linked to your account, but like up until the Switch 1, like if you had a digital game on the Wii U and the system bricked, like you lost that game. Like you couldn't connect, couldn't download it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I did the updates. I did all that. There was no code for Mario World, which I was very concerned about because usually when you get a bundle like this, it comes with a code to download the game. So I went on to the store and it immediately says, you own Mario Kart World. Would you like to download? So it's connected to the console, which I was concerned about. Those were all my problems alleviated. And my favorite thing about this console here is when I got the original Switch, the first night I took off the Joy-Con, but I only pressed the button in like halfway and it broke the latch. So I was never really able to play comfortably in handheld because the left Joy-Con would slip off all the time. With this, you just press this and it's magnetic and it pops right off and it goes right back on.
Yeah, it's a great touch.
I didn't look at any reviews of it because I honestly didn't really plan on buying one because I just got the Steam Deck last year, which I fucking love. But Mario Kart was calling me and the Donkey Kong game looked awesome.
Of course.
So, and it's fully backwards compatible. And
that's the thing. And being fully backwards compatible changes that because it adds a whole library of games right in the beginning of the console.
And the other thing too is I almost paid for it in Best Buy is they have the upgrade ticket for the 2 Zelda games to upgrade them to Switch 2, 60 frames per second, blah, blah, blah. And I almost bought that, but I was like, I'll just wait and buy it online. So when I put Breath of the Wild into my Switch, it said you pay for Nintendo Online, you get the free upgrade. So it upgraded it free because I paid for the online service, which is only like $20 a month anyways. So that was cool. Trying to think of what else. But yeah, overall it's great. The Switch 2 Pro controller. Oh yeah, I also bought Mario Galaxy 2. This Pro controller is dope. It's been my favorite controller since the Wii U's Pro controller. It is the most comfortable, perfect thing I've ever it's fucking great. I don't know how long the battery life is, but I remember on the Wii U it was incredible because the battery life was like 80 hours. So, and the Wii U didn't have many games, so I probably charged it like 3 times overall in its life. Right. But yeah, the Nintendo Pro controllers are all awesome, and that's the one drawback of the Switch itself is I do want to play in handheld, but I really don't like how the sticks are on the actual Switch itself. I just don't like the feel or whatever. But
I always thought they were too small.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it feels. Like my thumb slips off them. But it's fine for Mario Kart and some other games. But yeah, very happy with the purchase. I hope they release something soon for Mario, like a new Mario game. I don't know. I haven't been paying attention to Switch 2 news. But I do have some work to do on Odyssey left. Plus, I just got Galaxy 2 because I had Galaxy 1 from the other bundle.
Okay, that's my question. Plugging it in. Do you have it hooked to a TV? How does it look in 4K?
Looks great. Mario plays great. I played Mario Kart 8 a lot last night too. Played some Breath of the Wild before I upgraded it. And the frame rate difference is very worth it. I think
you have
an
OLED too. You have an OLED too, so you have an OLED too. So
my TV,
awesome,
yes,
probably.
Yep. And that's the one thing they didn't do with the Switch screen is they didn't give you the OLED, and I think that's probably because they'll do an OLED version for it.
The Pro.
But yeah, I'm very happy with the purchase. I was just playing Mario Kart before we get on. That
was my other question.
Mario Kart. A couple things about Mario Kart that kind of pissed me off is, all right, I believe it started with the Wii U version of Mario Kart, is you could race with your Mii and you could like customize your vehicle. As of now, I can't do any of that. Which kind of sucked because I got used to playing with my Mii and a certain like bike I would use. But they have Waluigi in it, and I love Waluigi, so I use him or Dry Bones. But yeah, the game itself is really good. Plays incredibly smooth. I played a little bit on my handheld. Yeah, I mean, it's Nintendo. They just do quality products. I was telling you on text, the original Switch feels like a toy in your hand compared to this or like the Steam Deck, which is what I thought of when I got the Steam Deck. I didn't pick up my Switch once after that because it just felt so much better. So yeah, Switch 2, highly recommend.
Awesome. Like you mentioned with the OLED, that's the one holdout I have for it is the handheld OLED. Because I have the OLED, I paid extra for the one I have, but the original Switch. But
you're probably more the type to play in handheld than I am. Like my cousin was more the type to play in handheld. Because when I first got the Switch, I would play some in handheld during like baseball and like football games, but now I usually read comics during that time. So I like it. I like playing it on the screen and just watching something on like my iPad or something off to the side.
Awesome. Well, and more games you get, the more reviews you'll have of a system that I'm really looking forward to hear more about. So, what we watched this week, and talk about some TV shows. Gen V finale happened this week. It's setting up the boys' final season. At the end, they defeat the big bad Godokin, and Marie and all the other members of Gen V are now working for Starlighter. They're part of her resistance group going into the next season of The Boys. So which I'm guessing we'll see them. Yeah, which I'm guessing we'll see them join the group. So that'll be exciting. We also saw A-Train at the end too, which is really cool. We saw the Deep in the beginning of the season. We saw A-Train. We saw Starlighter. We didn't see Homelander this season. Did see him at the end of last season though. So overall, great series.
How did you feel about this season?
Not as good as the first season, and not as good as The Boys. Yeah.
The consensus when we watched it as a group was that they probably had to scramble for the first bunch of episodes, which is why they weren't great.
Because Andre
Chase died. Yeah. So, but the last two episodes were fantastic. It might be two of the best. Might be the two best of the series. I haven't watched season 1 since it aired though. So, but the last two episodes were excellent. So I'm sure they had the end game that they didn't change much of. I'm sure a lot leading up to it they had to because of Chase, whatever his name is, dying.
Right. Yeah. Tulsa King. Have you probably had a time to watch Tulsa King? Have you?
No,
get back into it.
It's been a week.
Okay.
It's been a week.
I'm not going to talk much about it, but it's very good.
Yeah, I know.
The big bad this season is amazing.
Awesome.
Chad Powers. One more episode of that too. Basically, what you'd expect is all of his changing his identity into this Chad Powers is going to come back and haunt him. One more episode next week. I'll talk about the finale. Only Murders in the Building. Finale is next week as well. I'll talk about that once we find out who the bad guy is. I watched a couple of documentaries I want to talk about. Did you have time to watch the Downey Wrote That documentary on Peacock? about
No.
Jim Downey? You did not. All right, good
I
documentary.
have not. I'm not a huge. I don't really
SNL,
know much about Jim Downey, so I know it's SNL, so it's literally all I know about him. So I didn't really care to watch that.
Voice of SNL in the 80s and 90s. If you saw him, you'd recognize him. The big role for me was Billy Madison. He played the principal who does the speech at the end. If you saw that, also
right.
for us, Dirty Work. He is also the guy that had the speech. The homeless guy that gets fired in Dirty Work.
Yep.
Yeah, you know him from that. Voice of SNL. He was a head writer from the 70s, 80s, 90s. Got fired with Norm. Very deadpan delivery. Match made in heaven when he met Norm. That's why they became writing partners during that time in SNL. Especially Weekend Update, and then they got fired eventually with the OJ Don Omeyer stuff. Don Omeyer was the head of NBC, was friends with OJ, and he kept telling Lorne Michaels to tell your Weekend Update anchor, who was Norm at the time, to stop telling all of these OJ jokes. And Norm and Downey just went in even harder when they were told not to the point where eventually they were both fired from SNL at the same exact time, basically a week or two after Chris Farley died, 97, 98. And mentioned that in the documentary. Jim Downey, also in the movie There Will Be Blood, did not realize that until this documentary.
Interesting.
Rehired in the year 2000 during all the political stuff with Bush and everything going on, and brought political satire into the cold opens. Every time you think of SNL now in the cold opens, it always opens with a press conference with the president or something. That all started in the year 2000 during that election. And that was all written by Jim Downey. He was in 32 of the 50 seasons of SNL, 3 different runs. He left in the 80s, came back eventually, left in the 90s because he was fired, came back in 2000, and left finally in 2013 to be done with it. He came back for the 50th last year, wrote a couple of sketches, but huge mark on SNL. And one of those guys, if you knew who he was, you saw him. He's been in every. Adam Sandler's worked with him, and like I mentioned, Nor's worked with him forever up until his passing. So, another documentary. I don't know if you had any chance to watch any of it. You just got off of work, so that's why. But the Scorsese documentary.
Yeah, I'm 2 episodes in. It is fucking fantastic. I'll be watching. Great. I plan to do like one a week. One a night this week. But I got caught up. A friend of mine's going through some stuff, so we ended up binge watching Game of Thrones the last couple of nights till like 2 a.m. So,
yeah, that's crazy because that show is the most depressing show in the world. But yeah, it's a great documentary. It's on Apple TV. I'm not going to talk about the documentary, but let me just list the amount of movies in this guy's catalog. Starting with Mean Streets, Taxi Driver, New York. Some of these I haven't seen. New York, I haven't seen. Seems like it's something up my alley.
Awesome. Oh, you would love that movie. Yeah, you would love it.
The Last Waltz. That's the band. Raging Bull. Haven't seen that surprisingly. It's on my list. And
really?
The story. There's a story. Sure. Have they gotten into that part of the documentary yet with Raging Bull and Rocky 2? Have you gotten into that yet?
No. I think that's the
I'll
next
talk about that
episode, I think.
King of Comedy. I think you may have watched that for the podcast.
We did it for the podcast. We did,
Yep. Color of Money. Never saw that either. And that's with Paul Newman and Tom Cruise. The Last Temptation of Christ. I have that on the list of for the podcast to watch when the Resurrection of Christ comes out, because I want to watch the Passion of the Christ. I never saw that either.
Oh, okay.
I know 2 totally different movies, but it's one of the ones I haven't seen.
Yep.
And then of course you get into the 90s. You got Goodfellas. You got Cape Fear, Age of Innocence. That's the one with method actor there who's in Gangs of New York.
Charlie Chaplin.
No, the method. The guy,
fucking the greatest actor of all time, Daniel Day.
Yes, that guy, Daniel Day. Yeah, Daniel Day. Casino, Gangs of New York. Gets a couple of duds in the 90s, and he goes into the 2000s and starts meeting up with Leonardo, and that's kind of like the last 2 episodes. Gangs of New York,
is
The
Leo
Aviator,
on
Departed.
The
Oh yeah.
Good.
The only guy that's not in this documentary was Joe Pesci. And the reason why he doesn't want to talk about those roles is because all of the roles that he played, he based off of real gangsters. Because he was more involved in that life.
He knew
He didn't want to implement, right. He didn't want to implement anybody.
Joe Pesci.
So that's why he wasn't.
He grew up with.
Yeah.
Didn't he grow up with the fucking guy from Goodfellas? Like they
Yeah,
were like
he did.
best
That's
friends.
yeah.
Like they were in the same neighborhood. Yeah. Yeah, I
Yep.
wouldn't do that either if I was him. Stay
But
alive,
yeah,
Joe.
he teamed up with Leo for Gangs of New York, The Aviator, Departed, which is another great, fantastic movie. Shutter Island, The Wolf of Wall Street, and then they're gonna be doing the next. He did Killers of the Flower Moon, which I also haven't seen. And the next project, they didn't talk about in the movie, but Leonardo DiCaprio, Jennifer Lawrence are going to be in a movie, Ghost Story. It's the next Martin Scorsese movie. Also, found out doing my research, there wasn't in the documentary, but there is an SCTV documentary reunion that was filmed back in 2018 that got shelved because of the pandemic. And Rick Moranis actually came back out of retirement for that and filmed some sketches and filmed part of that. It was supposed to be for Netflix, never came out. Supposedly it was scrapped, and not scrapped, but was just put on the shelf for a while. With everything happened in the pandemic, and then Scorsese got busy with this, and they got busy with the other movies he's been doing. That'll be out eventually, and that'll be fun. I'm excited to see that. Probably, I'm guessing around the time Spaceballs comes out. But yeah, I don't want to get into too much, but just that amount of movies. The other movie they didn't mention in the documentary, Hugo. You ever watch Hugo? It's like a kids movie.
Oh yeah.
They didn't mention that at all in the documentary. That's one of his movies too. And a couple Boardwalk Empire. He was the executive producer of that, and Vinyl. Never watched Vinyl, but I know you're a huge fan of Boardwalk. And the Shine a Light Rolling Stones concert film came out in like 2007, 2008. He did that as well. But huge career, huge massive part of Hollywood, and a huge massive part of cinema in general. So every time you see the memes with him in cinema, it's true. He's just, there's nobody like him. And it's great to see how his life turned into what his movies became eventually. Growing up in New York City, I know you watched the first 2 episodes, so you lived in the slums in New York, where all the gangs were happening at the same time. So we see a lot of that stuff going on in the streets. A very shy kid. He's an asthmatic kid, so he wasn't a part of it, but he saw it from the outside, like a lot of people that lived in New York in his level knew and saw. So yeah, it's a great documentary. Can't wait for you to watch it. And there's a lot of Scorsese movies I haven't seen. I haven't seen Mean Streets. That's Robert De Niro's first movie with him. Scorsese's first movie. Kind of want to watch that now. New York, I mentioned
at the video store. I wasn't allowed to take new movies home, so that's when I caught up on a lot of old movies, and that's when I saw a lot of the older movies. So I saw them when I was like 15, so I haven't revisited them. So let me know if you want to revisit them, because I'll try to watch them with you. At some point.
Yeah, we'll get into it.
We'll do a Scorsese thing. Cool.
Yep. The other documentary I'm sure you haven't had a chance to watch. We talked about it last week. Drew Struzan, who passed away. This is on YouTube. It's a documentary all about his making of posters, growing up and talking about him starting in the 70s, becoming a album creator. He created the Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and a few other album covers. But it reminded me of the realism of art. Like I talked about it, Alex Ross, how I love his art in the comic books. And Drew had that kind of same realistic eye, where his pictures on the poster, even though they were paintings, they looked like pictures. They look real. That's how realistic they were. And obviously an inspiration for Alex Ross. His inspiration, you think about it, of course, Norman Rockwell. Rockwell did the same thing in the 50s. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
He had a close association with Lucasfilm, did all the Star Wars stuff, did all the indie stuff. He did everything for them. Had an association, of course, with Jim Henson and all the Muppet movies. He did the iconic poster for The Thing, which I've never seen. I'm sure you've seen it. The horror movie, The Thing.
Yes. One of the greatest movies of all time. Fucking love that movie.
And some say it's best poster of all time. He did it overnight, like with they gave him a task to do it, and he did it overnight, and it just came out amazing, and it's iconic. Worked with Amblin, worked with Spielberg very closely. Did the posters for E.T., Goonies, Cutthroat Island, but my favorite was Hook. I mentioned that last week. Did all the posters for Back to the Future, and those are my favorite movies. We already talked about it. My favorite posters. So yeah, it makes perfect sense. He did all the posters for the Police Academy movies. He did Mallrats for Kevin Smith, the iconic poster for that. He worked with Frank Darabont. He did the Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. He came back later on in like 2013 and did a Walking Dead season 1 poster as well. Worked with Guillermo del Toro for Hellboy, Hellboy 2, Pan's Labyrinth. The studio did not want to use that artwork because the studio just was getting more and more into Photoshop. Now it's into AI, but back then it was Photoshop. So they didn't want to hire these artists $50,000, $100,000 to do these paintings. So they would go in and do Photoshop and just take pictures and do it themselves, kind of losing that artist touch. But making his art a true lost art when he passed away. And there's not a lot of people like him that do that hand-to-hand artwork style for these. It's either AI or Photoshop, which sucks. And encapsulates fully what the artist was and is, and brings the movie to life in ways that pictures and maybe AI can try to tackle, but never the same. He also did comic book covers. He did this one in the early 2000s, Action Comics with Superman, and he actually put himself in the bottom left corner there. Great documentary. It's on YouTube for free if anybody wants to watch it. It's called Drew, the Man Behind the Poster. Great documentary. Rest in peace to him. And this week, we are 2 weeks away from Halloween. Actually, next weekend is Halloween. So we're in our second to last week of Halloween.
Yes.
And we decided to go full steam ahead into Stephen King. And a couple of these movies I know you've seen. I know there's a couple you hadn't.
Yes.
Brand new this week. Starting off with Carrie. Never saw that. This is the very first adaptation of Stephen King novel into a movie. Directed by Brian De Palma, who did Scarface, Untouchables, Carlito's Way. He did the first Mission Impossible movie. Starring Sissy Spacek, John Travolta, and William Catt, the greatest American hero. Came out in 1976. People put this right up on top of their list of horror movies just because of it came out at the perfect time for horror movies.
Also,
story.
It came out in the 70s when horror movies were more
niche.
Gore. It was more niche. It was more gore. A lot of directors from horror in the 70s actually were switching over from softcore pornography.
They talk about
like
that.
The director of the first Friday the 13th. But yeah, Carrie was awesome. And the thing about it is, like I said, everything used to focus on a lot of gore. Last House on the Left, stuff like that were coming out. Wes Craven was doing shit like that. And this actually was just a very good story, and is probably my favorite Stephen King book. I love this book.
Yeah, we're going to get into my favorite book next week, because I'm going to be watching all the It movies. Getting ready for the next It TV show. And great movie, though. You're right.
Thing about Carrie, I will say this. You've never seen the remake, I'm assuming, because you never saw the original.
No.
The remake is pretty good. The issue is they cast the girl from Kick-Ass. While she was as she had become a woman and is actually quite attractive and beautiful. And Carrie isn't supposed to be even remotely could be fitting in with the popular crowd just based on looks and stuff like that. So I thought that was a real big miscast, where Sissy Spacek is the perfect Carrie, and down to a T what's described in the book. Sissy Spacek's awesome as Carrie. That's the one drawback about the remake, because it's this girl would have been popular in the early 2000 or mid 2000s, whenever the movie came out, late 2010, early 2010s. I mean, just based on looks alone, with the way people are so superficial in high school. But yeah, Carrie is awesome. The original
reminded me of She's All That, even though they're totally different movies. But taking this girl who's kind of the outcast, and making her the prom queen, and then everything sick joke that became part of it, and she took revenge and killed everybody. Spoiler, but the one movie that you haven't seen that you recommended this week for Stephen King.
Why did I recommend this? Just because it was on my goddamn iTunes library.
It's funny you say that, because I didn't mind the movie, and it's kind of one of those things where the actor makes it fun to watch. I mean, I was going to say, him.
I liked it because of Gary Busey, Like every time
Right.
he was on the screen, I was like, oh, okay, this is good. But then whenever he
But we
wasn't on
watched
screen, I was like, this isn't good.
we watched Silver Bullet, which is a werewolf movie. Came out
Yes.
in 1985 with Gary Busey's the star of this and Corey Haim. This was a couple years before The Lost Boys. This is kind of right in the beginning of his career. Screenplay was written by Stephen King. Came out in 1985, and Gary Busey. This is before his accident, but he was chewing scenery the whole entire time. Has some great one-liners. Great one-liners in this movie that I don't remember off the top of my head.
Yep, he did.
But he was just chewing the scenery the whole entire time, being the drunk uncle, which was awesome. Yeah, great movie for what it was. If you just take it out of context, but yeah,
typical Stephen King. The kids in the wheelchair. He always focuses on like a loser or a loser group, which is why they have the Losers Club in it. Carrie is an outcast. But overall, it's an okay movie. It just doesn't age well. Is the biggest drawback.
Definitely
not. If I saw this, and when did it come out? Like the 80s, like 80 whatever.
85, yeah.
85. If I saw this in 85, I probably would have fucking loved it. But like, it does not age well.
No, and the monster and everything about it's kind of.
Oh my god, the monster
can't
fucking
be
terrible. The monster's
horrible.
Terrible.
Yeah,
horrible. Yeah.
Another movie I never saw. This is so Maine. Growing up in down east Maine, Bangor, my whole entire childhood. Pet Sematary is Maine.
Mm-hmm.
Fred Gwynn, who played Herman Munster in The Munsters, came into this movie playing the guy who lives across the street, who's kind of I think he's
that's where he's from. Yeah, that's right. And wasn't he in? Are you talking about the guy from My Cousin Vinny, the judge?
Yeah, he's a judge in that. It was his last role. He died that same year.
He's awesome. Every time that guy pops on screen, and of course, I think it's Family Guy does like a riff of him at some points in their show. Yeah,
Family Guy does a riff on this movie in particular a lot. Fred Gwynn was mimicking Stephen King because that's what Stephen King sounds like. He's got that deep down east Bangor accent.
Yeah.
But screenplay also written by Stephen King, starring Fred Gwynn, Dale Midkiff, who you've seen in a whole bunch of other stuff. The one show that I remember him was a show called Time Traps. It was like 2 seasons, all about time travel, about this guy that came from the future into the past. It was like a police officer in the past hunting down bad guys from the future that came to the past. Great show, only lasted a couple seasons, but I remember watching it in reruns. And the little kid from Kindergarten Cop, Full House, who was the little kid who ends up getting killed in this.
Yes.
Iconic in Kindergarten Cop, where girls have a penis, boys have a vagina. You've never seen that movie, you know it. But he plays a little demon kid that if you ever saw him, this was in real life, you would punt him across the fucking room.
Yep.
Because he has the cat eyes. It's crazy. And the girl from Ghost Rider on PBS, which is a show that nobody talks about, but was huge in my fucking childhood, the PBS show Ghost Rider. But she was the lead of that show. She was the daughter of this movie. And Stephen King, I think this may have been his only role he ever had in one of his projects as a reverend. No, he was a bartender in It.
He was in It. No, he wasn't a bartender.
Yeah.
He was selling like he had like a thrift store, I believe. In It.
That's what it was. Yeah. I can't remember.
I think it was the second It. It was It Chapter 2, I believe.
Okay. But all that being said, I love this movie.
Yeah.
For what it was. Yeah. Pet Sematary. Pets go in there. They come back to life the next day, and they're demonic. There's something crazy going on there. But yeah,
this was one of those movies I grew up with.
Yeah,
I'd go over to Jason Sanborn's house, and Derek, his brother, was 2 years older than us, so he'd always get like horror movies, and this is one we used to watch all the time. At his house. The remake is actually not that bad. They switch it up, I believe,
a couple years ago.
Yeah, I believe the son lives and the daughter dies in the remake. And the neighbor in that is played by
John Lithgow.
Yeah, John Lithgow. And he is fantastic in that movie. So honestly, if you're a fan of Lithgow, if you have time to watch it this week going into next week and you want to review it, just let me know. I'll watch it too, because I haven't seen it since I got it on digital when it came out. But I did enjoy the remake of it for what it is. But I grew up on the original, and it's just such a classic to me. I saw it a million times as a youth, so I didn't feel the need to watch it this time. But it's a great movie. Another one of his books that's also very good. His books are very hit or miss. His short stories are almost better, like The Long Walk, which we'll get to, and obviously Shawshank Redemption he wrote.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Stephen King's Pet Sematary is fantastic.
And the last movie of the classic Stephen King is The Dead Zone.
Mm-hmm.
This is with Christopher Walken.
Yes.
Came out in the late 90s, no, early 80s. I mean, 1983.
Yep.
Directed by David Cronenberg, who did The Fly, History of Violence, Eastern Promises, and he won for Crash, Best Director, I believe.
Love Cronenberg.
Yep. Starring Christopher Walken, Tom Skerritt, who was in Top Gun, a whole bunch of other shit, and a cameo appearance by Martin Sheen at the end of this movie. This is more my type of Stephen King. I love this movie just because I love ghost stuff. I love like premonitions and all that type of thing. And I thought Christopher Walken just played this part perfectly.
He's
it's
awesome in this.
Great movie.
Yeah, agreed.
Didn't know much about it going in. I'm kind of glad that I was kind of blind going in, but yeah. But all of that leads up to the review of the week. I know you had probably mentioned this before on the podcast, but
I gave it a 4.5 or a 5. I think I gave it a 4.5 or 4.
Yeah. In the theaters this summer, there was a Stephen King movie that came out, adaptation called The Long Walk. Didn't know much about it going in. Kind of glad I didn't. Set in this, it almost looks futuristic, but then you look at the cars, it almost looks like it could be set in the 70s. Or 80s.
I think it's a alternate universe.
Okay.
Where it's either right around Vietnam or like something like that.
Okay.
It just feels like it has that aesthetic to it that feels like it's
definitely does.
I believe it's an alternate like history type thing is how I feel. I don't know if like it immediately brought me back to Peacemaker where it did the Nazis in World War II or whatever, but I'm not sure. They don't really explain that, and it's not important to the story at all. You just have to know it doesn't take place in current time.
But basically, without giving the big spoilers of the movie away, it's set in that type of world where annually they have this walk where they have 50 kids from each of the 50 states come in on this walk, and they have to keep walking and not stop. They get penalized if they stop, and the last lone survivor gets the wish of his lifetime plus millions of dollars, billions of dollars, or whatever, to live for the rest of his life. And I don't know how many years they had done this for, however long it's been going on, but the lead of this is the Major, played by Mark Hamill. The two stars of this, the two main stars, there's a few other familiar faces, are, I don't know their names, but I know the kid from Alien, Romulus, and I know
Aaron Johnston. And
Aaron Johnston
and fucking what's his name?
Seymour Hoffman's
Philip Seymour Hoffman's
son,
who's a fucking hell of an actor in this movie.
Amazing in this.
They're both great.
Yeah. The only other movie I've seen Philip Seymour Hoffman's son in was Saturday Night, and I know you saw the other one, which was Licorice Pizza, right? He was a star. That was it, Licorice Pizza or something else I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's
Licorice Pizza. Yep.
Yep. I haven't seen it. It's on my list of things to watch. This is a great fucking movie.
Yeah.
Lots. It definitely feels like Stephen King. It seems to the point where this starts in Maine. That's what it's. They never tell you that, but it seems like because this kid who is Philip Seymour Hoffman's son, he's starting in his home state, and the way they're talking about going to Freeport. They're talking about a lot of stuff of being in a area that's kind of out of there, no big city stuff happening. Reminded me a lot of Bangor, where Stephen King grew up. So I'm guessing that's kind of what this is, without actually saying it's where it was located. But Stephen King's all located in Maine too, so it makes perfect sense. But great movie, 4.5 out of 5 for me. Recommend it to anybody who has any need of watching a new movie. Speaking of that, Weapons just came on HBO today. So 2 great horror thriller movies out right now if you want to watch them. And with that being said, let's get into the news. Not a lot of trailers to talk about, so we'll talk about this one. On Netflix, coming out on November 12th, there's a Eddie Murphy documentary called Being Eddie. And they bring him and a whole bunch of people he's worked with in the past, talking about his career. I'm not sure if there's episodes or if it's just one movie or what it is, but It's going to be on November 12th, coming out on Netflix. So excited for that. Weekend box office last week, Black Phone 2. Are you a fan of the Black Phone franchise? I know their first one came out a couple years ago.
I reviewed the first one on the podcast. I was disappointed in it, but I've heard incredible things about the new one. But granted, I saw the first one. I get caught up in hype of movies, so I saw it like when I was caught up in the hype of it, and it just didn't live up to what I was told. So,
right,
it's still a good movie, but I've heard the new one's awesome.
26.5 number 1. Tron Ares 11.4 week 2. People are saying it's a trash movie too. Good Fortune debuted this week. That's the Keanu Reeves movie where he plays an angel, Seth Rogen. 6.2 million debut. For a comedy, in this climate, not surprisingly, not surprised by that, but yeah. Rest in peace to Sam Rivers. If you were a kid, grew up in hip hop, rock in the beginning of the millennium, Sam Rivers is the basis of Limp Bizkit. Passed away unannounced. I think he had a liver disease a few years ago, and no word on how he died, but they're speculating that could be the reason why. But he passed away this week. Rest in peace to him. And let's get into the big news of the week, which is Warner Brothers going for Sam Rivers going for sale. Warner Brothers is going for sale, and the big rumor was that Paramount was going to be the buyer. And they've downplayed that. I think since this article came out that we're going to be talking about now, there's been 3 bids by Paramount that have been denied by Warner Brothers for ownership. The last bid was to keep David Zaslav on as the co-CEO of the company. And with all the stock options and everything, and 80% of the company, they poo-pooed that situation. So now Warner Brothers came out this week and said they're evaluating acquisition offers from multiple parties. And speculation on who those parties are has gone all over the internet crazy. After receiving interest from multiple parties, we have initiated a comprehensive review of strategic alternatives to identify the best path forward to unlock the value of our assets. Speculation is Netflix, who has gone out and denied it because they like to keep their own property.
Personally, I don't know if I believe them. I think that was just them not saying if they're going to bid on it or not.
Right.
Type deal, because an exhibition that big, you don't want to put your cards on the table so soon into the negotiations.
Yep. Also, Comcast was listed. Ted Sarandos, like I mentioned, kind of poo-pooing it and kind of talking light about it. Warner Brothers, the big other thing was Apple TV, and Apple says they have shown interest. And Warner Brothers says that Apple has shown interest in acquiring the TV and film library. Probably not the networks because they don't care about that.
I think Netflix would be very interested in the library, but they also know that whoever takes over, they can work out a deal to show Warner Brothers movies with them. So,
and if the potential merger happens, the Writers Guild of America came out yesterday and said it would be disaster for writers because a lot of people would be downplayed as far as pay is concerned. It would diminish competition and free speech. So they said they will work together with the regulators to block the merger. So you already have one big union going against this merger in the first place. So speculation, and we're talking about other companies. Disney, they're saying Disney does not want a part of it at all.
And I don't think they can, to be honest. I think they're too big already to acquire another company like that. Like, not money wise, but I think they're just they won't be allowed to by the FCC or whoever regulates that shit.
Right. Doing research in 2016 before they bought 20th Century Fox, that was Bob Iger's one big acquisition prospect was Warner Brothers. That was the plan, and then 20th Century Fox went for sale, and they jumped on that deal instead. Yeah. So yeah, I don't. Unless they have a boner for it, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah. I honestly don't think it can go through with the regulations, because
it won't pass.
They probably have to sell off Fox or something,
Yep.
So
the other thing is like the Paramount of it all. Trump is huge on this deal. He wants Paramount to own it, and also he just had this big, huge knockdown drag out with Paramount where they fired Stephen Colbert. So was there some sort of collusion there? Don't want to get political, but the questions have to be there. I don't know if it'll ever be explored correctly with the FCC and everybody in that pocket, but I'm not necessarily Republican or Democrat, but you see that from a mile away. But yeah, huge thing. And then of course, as this comes out, HBO Max announces that they're going to up the price of HBO Max this week during this article timeline. Bad timing. And the highest price going up for just a regular HBO Max, just plain HBO Max, $18.49, which is higher than Netflix. Netflix is currently at $17.99 a month. So they're the highest price if you want to get premium for HBO Max now, which is no commercials, is $22.99. Went up for $2 a month. So that's crazy for basically what you're paying for 3 streaming services now. That's what you were paying for cable a decade ago. So they're making up for it now, which sucks because we were at the Renaissance 5 years ago during the pandemic, and now, yeah, now we're fucked. The consumer is the one that's fucked over it, but yeah. Hooters. We talked about it a few months ago how they were talking about going maybe and liquidating the company and trying to change the strategy of the company. Well, the original owners of Hooters came in, and the original founders, and they acquired 111 Hooters restaurants for $40 million. They're going to try to rescue the brand. Filed for Chapter 11 earlier in the year. They're going to try to rescue the brand and bring it back to its former glory of breaded wings, original sauces, refurbishing the restaurants, and server uniforms, the short shorts and everything. They're going to focus all on what made them popular in the 90s, and they're going to focus on that and try to bring these 111 Hooters locations back into prominence. So. Love Hooters. We talked about it before. Hooters has more of a connection with us going to wrestling events because it was right near the Fleet Center. But yeah, good to see maybe not going out of going into bankruptcy. But yeah, I saw this article and wanted to bring it up. Francis Ford Coppola, who had Megalopolis come out last year, was a huge box office failure. Not only box office, but critical failure. Laughed out of Hollywood for it pretty much after he was high on it. Had a yard sale this week, and he put his $1 million watch on sale during this sale, trying to make money back for all the money he lost, putting all of his personal money into making Megalopolis, which is a failure commercially and for himself. So, want to bring that up. We've got the first picture of Anthony Appolieto. I don't know how to say his last name, but he's playing Sylvester Stallone in the I Play Rocky movie, TV series, whatever it's going to be.
I can't wait
that's
for this.
Him out of Rocky. Looks just like it's out of Rocky. So, and announced today, Austin Butler is in talks along with Michael B. Jordan to be in a Miami Vice reboot at Universal Pictures. Austin Butler would play Sonny Crockett, and Michael B. Jordan would be playing Tubbs.
Yep.
Yeah, all about the South Florida detectives and played by Don Johnson way back in the 80s. So yeah.
I never saw that happens, wasn't Colin Farrell in the other remake?
Colin Farrell and Jamie Foxx, yeah.
Yep.
Back in maybe 20 years ago now.
Yeah.
I don't think I did either.
Miami Vice
but yeah.
Before our time. As far as
I love those.
Like that.
Right. I love those two actors. I think that would be a great combination too. So I'm kind of excited for that. Netflix is developing a series about the Kennedy family, described as the American version of The Crown. Michael Fassbender has been cast as Joseph Kennedy Sr. There's a lot of controversy with the Kennedy family going way back into the 40s with, I believe it was John F. Kennedy's sister who had the lobotomy and became a vegetable after that. And I'm guessing they're getting into all of that, plus all the Kennedy assassinations and everything that's involved and around that too. That'll be an amazing documentary and an amazing series on Netflix. So yeah, we'll hear more about that in the coming year. Netflix has announced that they're also developing films and TV shows based on the board game Catan. I've heard of the game. I know I think it's a little bit more like an RPG type of game, board game. I'm not really sure, but Netflix has a deal with that. I wanted to bring that up. They announced season 3 of Shrinking coming out Wednesday, January 28th on Apple TV for the first episode airing through April 8th. Got some brand new pictures for that. That's the Michael Fassbender and John F. Kennedy's father. And Shrinking. And that's Catan. That's Shrinking. Hopefully, yeah, that's Shrinking. New pictures of Shrinking. And Bill Lawrence has said the series always had plans for a 3-season arc. And the third season is going to be about moving forward, where first season was about grief, second season was about forgiveness. So yeah, really cool. Cannot wait for that. And announced this week that Stranger Things, the finale, will be airing in theaters. It's going to happen on New Year's Eve, same day as a Netflix release.
Oh, so the backlash
yeah,
caused that to happen, I guess.
It did happen. IMAX is also joining forces with Netflix, Apple TV, and Prime Video to eventize streaming content. Most significantly, Netflix, when they're doing their Greta Gerwig's Narnia series coming out Thanksgiving of next year, that's going to be one of their first movies. Also, I believe they're doing, Netflix is also doing a 2-week IMAX exclusive run, theatrical window for 4 weeks, and they're committed to marketing and everything. Frankenstein is also a part of that deal. So yeah, it's huge. Huge deal. Amazon. We talked about them buying the rights to do the creative control of James Bond. Found out the price this week. They paid $20 million for creative control, which we thought it was going to be a lot higher than that. But they did pay $20 million to have creative control in the next series of Bond to get it away from the Broccolis. So that's kind of crazy.
Seems low.
Also, yeah, announced yesterday, they're going to be doing another Christmas Carol. This time, Ebenezer: A Christmas Carol. Starring Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
And who was the director of this one? I can't remember.
This is the Ty West one.
Ty West, yeah. I didn't even read it in here. Yeah, Ty West. Ty West, of course, Maxine. The other one we were talking, the reason I got confused is the other one was
Robert
Eggers and Willem Dafoe.
Pitch perfect for this as far as directing goes.
And that's where
I can't wait for that one.
That's where our Robert
Zemeckis. I love Ty West also. Yep.
And that's where our Robert Zemeckis talk came from, and why I watched Back to the Future last night is because the remake that he did, the animated one, was the worst movie I've seen. One of the worst movies I've seen in the theater, right up there with Freddy Got Fingered, if I had to compare the two. But yeah, not a big fan. The only Christmas Carol I'm a huge fan of
Muppets.
is the Muppet one.
Yep, I'm the same way.
Eggers,
not a huge fan of the story, but Eggers will most certainly get me to watch his version of the story.
You love Ty West too, so you probably, depending on how this turns out in the casting. Yeah. Mortal Kombat 2 moved up a week to May 8th of 2026. So they're taking over the Avengers, where Avengers is going to be. They're going to be opening up the summer blockbuster season.
We should have been reviewing this very episode.
Yeah, for sure. Got a brand new poster for Sinners coming out in IMAX, I believe, next week, or is it this week? Next week. Coming out in IMAX for the whole weekend. Coming out in IMAX, I think this weekend was Back to the Future, right? Didn't that come out this weekend in IMAX in theaters? Yeah,
I think so.
Remake, yeah. Got brand new posters for Fallout Season 2, debuting in December. Got brand new posters of all the characters for that. Got brand new character posters for Wicked. Tickets went on sale. Have not got them yet, but yeah, they also announced who's playing the Cowardly Lion, played by Coleman Domingo. Cannot wait for that. And Star Wars news. David Fincher reportedly pitched a Star Wars film set after the Rise of Skywalker.
David Fincher is one of my favorite directors. I just don't see his style with Star Wars.
Well, neither did Lucasfilm. They turned him down.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting to see his style in Star Wars.
Right.
I was thinking about, actually, when I saw this on Twitter, and I was like, I honestly think Fincher might have 5 movies in my top 30 of all time. 2 of them in my top 10. So
one of them is in your top 5 at least.
One of them is in my top 3, yeah.
Yeah, top
Fight
3,
Club, obviously, yeah. Fight Club and 7 are both probably in my top 10. I mean, Fight Club definitely 7.
7's an amazing movie.
Zodiac's top 15.
Amazing movie.
The Game is top 30. Social Network. That. Social Network,
great movie.
Top 15.
Performances in that are amazing. Yeah.
Plus, his work on his Netflix show, Mindhunters. I honestly do, I don't even think of him like people always talk about Nolan and stuff, but to me, Fincher, it doesn't get much better than Fincher for me for storytelling.
Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Other Star Wars news, Adam Driver, talking about him and Steven Soderbergh being part of a 2-year development of a Ben Solo Star Wars movie that was set after The Rise of Skywalker, where Ben Solo would have survived. but Disney scrapped it before it could even take place. It's set after Rise of Skywalker. Lucasfilm loved the idea, but Disney said no. They didn't see how Ben Solo was going to be alive after he died at the end of Rise of Skywalker.
Okay, so first off, Disney, you can get fucked. Second off, Disney, this is the only character from that series people would have wanted to see more of, and you still would have made $1 billion. I'm sure people are going to see the Rey movie. It's going to be great with the young girls, but this is the one character from the sequel trilogy everyone loved, and also you fucking put somehow Palpatine has returned into a fucking script, and you say that you can't see how this guy can return.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is the fans have gone crazy, and there's a marketing campaign online right now.
Yeah.
Bring back Ben Solo.
Blown up.
And they somebody rented an airplane and flew it over Hollywood yesterday with the hashtag Save Ben Solo. It's crazy. Don't think it'll happen. It should happen. Don't think it will.
Yep.
They're kind of besides the Rey movie, which is still kind of weird. They distanced themselves from that whole trilogy after the backlash.
A Ben Solo movie, it says it was going to be after Rise of Skywalker, but say Disney was like, you can do a Ben Solo movie, but have it be before Episode 7 and have it leading up to Episode 7 would also be very good with the way Episode 7 starts off where he's hunting people down.
Right. Yeah.
So that would have also been a great idea.
Yeah. Let's talk about some swag.
Swag. Stuff we all get.
Come on, son. You know that's right.
They announced some Goonies stuff today. We got some Goonies Lego figures. The Goonies pirate ship from the movie, $300, 2,900 pieces, coming out November 1st. They also announced a whole bunch of minifigures there too. They also announced the attic from the beginning of the movie. Give me a little mini Lego set of 179 pieces. That was announced today. Also announced the Creel house from Stranger Things last season. I think Vecna lived there. That's coming out as well. I know I have a picture of that too. But yeah, Lego sets are becoming more dioramas than sets now. So yeah. DC news of the week. DC Studios has registered Salvation Run as a trademark after Peacemaker Season 2 ended. Also posted on Instagram or Threads yesterday, James Gunn posting all the storyboards he's currently writing for Man of Tomorrow. In the middle of he's known for his big, huge run of storyboards where he picks out everything. The other great thing about the Martin Scorsese documentary, he does the same thing. Yep. In his scripts, he writes the storyboards on the edge of the script, which I thought was a cool touch.
James Gunn, it's funny because a certain segment don't like him, but he talked about learning that from Zack Snyder during Dawn of the Dead when Zack would do that, and that's when he started doing it, is after Dawn of the Dead, any project he worked on.
Okay. Speaking of James Gunn, also talking about Darkseid, and how people think he's being eyed for being the big bad of the DCU, saying using Darkseid as the big bad now is not necessarily the thing because of a lot of reasons, Zack Snyder being one of them, and of course the connection kind of looking like Thanos, and Marvel has already done that. But he does say that in Mr. Miracle, that the new gods are going to be playing the bigger part of this story.
Yes.
And of course, Darkseid is a part of the new gods, but he's more interested in talking about the other characters of that, which are going to be introduced in Mr. Miracle. So
yes. Because we got Darkseid, kind of, in the Snyder Cut, there's more villains in DC than Darkseid, so I'm glad he kind of said that. Just like I know you always have an issue with the fact they always go back to the Joker for Batman when there's plenty of other villains you can use.
Oh yeah.
I'm on the side of I like my Batman to have a Joker, but not have him be the big bad, which is why I like the way it was handled in Matt Reeves' universe, or it looks like it's going to be handled where he's kind of just going to be in the background.
Right.
But yeah, there's more villains in DC, and also what James Gunn has done this week, I think, is awesome. You know where all these interviews and news is coming from, right?
Yeah, coming from podcasts of stuff that he listens and watches. Yeah.
He's going on people that support the DCU that he listens to, like Boba, who I love Boba. He's one of my favorite podcasts. So it's
Jenna.
really cool. Jenna's another one. He's going around to all these. I mean, they're quote unquote small podcasts, but they're pretty big within the DC community.
Yeah.
And it's just cool of him to take 10 minutes out of his day to go on these and and answer questions. And of course, every answer he says gets torn apart by people that have cult-like behaviors. But this is really cool of him to do, if you ask me.
The other thing I heard him talk about was Constantine 2, and he said he's met with Keanu Reeves, but hasn't read the script. He knows there's a script for the second one. He's discussed it on and off, discussed it with Keanu. So be interested to see if that returns.
Why did this become a thing? Because all I remember when Constantine came out is how people hated it. Nobody liked it.
I liked it. I liked it, but it was trashed by everybody.
It was it was not like, and now all of a sudden people want to see a sequel. Is it because of John Wick's popularity, maybe? Or
maybe
the only thing I can think of is that because he was kind of out of Hollywood after Constantine. I mean, he was doing stuff, but it wasn't until John Wick where he kind of resurrected his career. So I don't know.
Marvel news of the week. See Sadie Sink from Stranger Things, first time on set of Spider-Man. Standing next to Destin Daniel Cretton there. Still not sure who she's playing, but she is wearing army fatigues under this jacket she's wearing. So speculation she could be a follower of the Punisher, could be a part of the army. Who knows? We won't know for a while on that role, but probably till the trailer comes out. And finally, in news coming out on November 5th, they announced it this week or today. I mean, Fantastic Four coming to Disney Plus. So if anybody has not seen that yet, it'll be if you have Disney Plus, it'll be there. So that's it for a show this week. Next week we have a jam-packed Halloween episode. The big thing we're going to be talking about is It. Welcome to Derry. That debuts on Sunday. First episode, getting rave reviews. People are loving it on HBO Max. If anybody wants to watch along with us, but our finale for Halloween movies. It's going to terrify me for weeks to come. Children of the Corn. We're going to watch that. I'm going to watch The Birds. I wanted to watch a Hitchcock movie this month.
Awesome. Yep.
I've never seen it. Going to watch that. I'm going to review The Conjuring: The Last Rites. Kind of great timing that we have that to watch. Because I know there's a lot of connections to The Exorcist to that movie. And we're going to watch that as well for the very first time. I've never seen it. Have you seen it? I haven't seen it. You never saw it either.
No, that's why I wanted to do it this year.
That's why
I ordered it last October on 4K. There was an issue with Amazon. I got it in November, and I said, fuck this, I'll wait a year.
Right. So, pray for us. We're going to need it, because the demon's going to be coming into this house this week, and I won't be sleeping towards the end of it. So yeah, we're going to review The Exorcist and all those other movies. Also going to be watching It. I haven't seen It 1 and 2 back to back ever. Since the theater, I haven't seen them. So I'm going to watch them this weekend and kind of prepare ourselves going into the TV show. But I might go back and watch the Tim Curry one too, because I love that movie. So if I'm going to watch them all, I'm going to watch that one too. So thank you, everybody. And we will be back for our Halloween Spectacular next week. And we'll see you then. Peace.
Peace.
We're the Geek Blurb crew, here to enlighten you. Talking all things geeky, from movies to wrestling to our podcast is the place where you wanna be for all the latest news and nostalgia from the 80s and 90s. We review comic book flicks and sci-fi hits, riding the wave of action movies with all the cool bits. From Iron Man to Star Wars, we cover it all. And when it comes to wrestling, we never drop the ball. Geek Blurb, we're the kings of the nerds, rating movies and pineapples, our opinions never blurred. Join us each week for a geeky chat with the latest news and a dose of nostalgia that. So if you're a fan of the comic book craze, or a lover of sci-fi and all its maze, tune in to Geek Blurb. We're here to entertain, bringing you the best in